LinkedIn Echo Chamber. This is ML's Like Teen Spirit. Today we've got Warren here. Warren, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, John. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, Warren, I'm detecting an accent. Where are you calling in from, please?
I'm calling in from Atlanta, Georgia, here in the southeastern United States.
Warren, welcome, and thanks for joining us, and thank you for the support. So, Warren, we were just saying we were last together 8 years ago. We worked at a company called Cardlytics, but you've had a very long and tenured career in data sciences. I'd love for you to introduce yourself, please, for 60 seconds before we get down to our topic today.
Sure. So, again, thanks for having me on. I've been doing what we call data science for over 30 years now. So, in the Army, I went to our nation's military academy, West Point. I studied operations research there, thought I was going to do that for a full career in the Army. I got out in 1992. I came to Georgia Tech, earned my master's and PhD in master's operations research, PhD in industrial engineering. So my career has been here in Atlanta doing optimization for Lucent Technologies for a factory, doing machine learning for UPS, the world's largest shipper. And then I went to Home Depot, which is a home improvement retailer here in the United States. Spent a year doing marketing analytics there. Jumped over to Cardlytics, where John and I crossed paths for the first time. And I spent almost 10 years there developing a lot of their algorithms, the machine learning for targeting, for pricing, and for insights. And then after leaving Cardlytics, I spent a couple of years as chief data scientist for Best Buy, which is a large consumer electronics retailer here in the United States. After leaving Best Buy earlier in this year, I'm now doing some projects on my own with a small limited liability company called Optimal AI. I'm also doing sports analytics with some friends in a company, Sportsalytics.
Good, Warren. Thanks for that. Well, you said a magic word towards the end of your intro there. So the chief data scientist position, you really had multiple roles at this kind of level. And I've been pursuing you because I've been desperate to capture the experience of someone who's had this job, but came from a technical background. So this interview, actually, I've been calling it a day in the life. I would love to capture a day in the life of the chief data scientist from your perspective, and just bring that to whoever watches this video. So I guess we could start off with, and there'll be all the challenges and the fun that you had, and maybe some horrible moments. But I would love to start on the day in the life part. I wonder if you could try to summarize. I don't know what hours you work, Warren, but take us through a typical day of, like, what does it look like if I pushed you and say, what was an average day for you while you did this role?
Sure. So, I'll say the average day at the executive level in a Fortune 100 company here in the United States is it's a lot of meetings, but I don't want it to sound like we weren't getting a lot done. So, as a chief data scientist, you're focused on 3 or 4 things. One is the strategic vision and the evangelism of analytics and data science in the organization. Then you need to help pick the projects and communicate the success or failure of those projects to the other executives. And very importantly, you need to build and develop your data science team through training and mentorship. And I guess the fourth one would be your technical expertise and knowledge. It's you as a chief data scientist have to try to keep up as much as possible with the new things that are coming into the field of data science. Things are changing, weekly, monthly, yearly on what's available. So I'd say, given those focuses, a lot of times you're meeting, and I was remote for 3 weeks out of the month, and up in Minnesota for the 4th week. You are trying to maximize your quality time with your colleagues and your team to come up with the clear roadmap and realistic projects that drive the most growth and efficiency in the company.
And of the 4, which one is the hardest? So I accept your position as these are the 4 important things.
Yeah.
Which one of those things drops first when you're under the pressures of the job, Warren?
Oh, so drops first. Okay, there's two ways I heard hardest. Um, so the one that drops personally, the that drops for most people, and I had to focus on this, is the mentorship and the and the people management, because as you get consumed in what you need to get done, we're all being asked to do more than we can get done. Um, it took a lot of time. So for instance, as the chief data scientist, I had between 45 and 50 data scientists on my team. I made sure that I had a one-on-one with a 30-minute one-on-one with everybody on my team at least once a quarter. So you think about that. That's 25 hours once a quarter to just talk about what they're interested in, what projects get them excited. And of course, that's a lot of time. So that would drop earlier on in my career, that would drop first. And then I would realize that I went 6 months or 9 months without talking to some of the people 2 or 3 levels down on my team. And the danger of that is they feel disconnected, and you have a bigger chance of losing them because they don't feel valued and connected. So I'd say that is the first thing that would typically drop. I really had to work on that. The other thing that I first came to mind is what's the hardest? The hardest is getting that buy-in from the other business domains, because they know what machine learning and AI and optimization are, but they don't necessarily know what is possible. And so having those critical meetings to educate them on what is possible in this field, and getting their attention and their go ahead to do some of those projects, that's sometimes the harder part, because they've been doing it. They've been successful so far, and they don't necessarily want to change. So a lot of change management, a lot of eliciting business goals.
Warren, you have a technical background. Do you ever get into a situation where when you're trying to explain what's possible, is it ever a bit all-consuming for someone like you? So where you're very technically capable of, spending hours with somebody talking about technical detail, is that like is it like a magnet that you're drawn towards? Like, I'm trying to say, are you like pulled into things that maybe I don't know, shouldn't be there, or shouldn't be there as long? Like, was your technical background ever a kind of a negative?
So I will say that over my 30 years, so you can imagine as you get into a PhD and you're talking to an audience that knows the technical very well, then you start articulating things in a different way, and you're not as good, or at least I wasn't as good early on at explaining these concepts in a way that that somebody in another part of the business, clearly intelligent people, but just not the same background as me. So I would say that it took me a number of years to learn how to explain these ideas in a way that made sense. And that's through trial and error. Some things worked and some things didn't, which, hey, that's reinforcement learning. That's what I did in my PhD. Yeah, right. So it's interesting that we learn through reinforcement all throughout our career. And I'll say that these days, one of the things that some of the new large language models have been able to help me and others with is just saying, here's what I'm saying technically. Give me an idea of how to say this in a different way that still conveys those ideas. And that's another way of learning from examples. I will quite often put something in and say, show me a way to say this in to high school students, or show me a way to say this to someone that's in finance. And I look at that and I see those examples, and those examples are trained into my own the best neural network that we have, which is our own brains, and it has helped a lot. It's given me a lot more examples to choose from.
Yeah, I wonder if you get a hallucination when you say, like, I want to talk to finance, and it says, hey, just triple the ROI on this, and it'll be all good. Yeah? Warren, well, it can't all be good. So tell us some of the, I don't know, the challenges of this job, or the ones that you found most challenging. Have you got any insights in this area?
Yeah, some of the challenges are that data science is seen as well, I guess there's two types of at least two types of companies. One is a company where data science is integral to everything that you're doing. A lot of the newer tech companies are, the data science teams are integral in every part of their business. And then there's companies like a lot of retailers who were quite successful long before any type of data science came along. Transportation companies, UPS has been delivering packages for over 100 years. So in companies where data science is not absolutely critical, then it does become a challenge at the strategic level to get the resources to do some things that will clearly enhance the business, but it does take a lot of change management. It does take resources. It does have some fear on the people that it might change their role. In some cases, it might eliminate their role. In most cases, data science, machine learning, and AI is going to at least change their role. So it does become something that we see the value as data scientists, and we think we can get buy-in much more quickly. And then it might take 3 months or 6 months or a year, and you look back and you haven't been able to make those advancements.
Yeah, there's lots of persuasion, isn't there? And
it is
asking for favors sometimes. And yeah, I really recognize this. Well, Warren, tell us. Let me tell you, I have a time machine, and we can go back 30 years or something like this when you were first entering this area. What would you tell the younger Warren as like a key tip for a technical person that was taking a management path or something like this?
Yeah. So back when I was getting into this field, it was different than it is now. There weren't as many people coming into it, and so I think one thing that I had to do differently and is that getting a PhD in an area, and for many years I was the expert that people came to, and I liked that. It was why I chose to get a PhD. I wanted to learn more about reinforcement learning and using optimization and machine learning to solve problems. I loved being the expert that people went to. But at some point, and it was a challenge for me, but at some point when you get into management, you have to stop being the person that knows as much as the people that are reporting to you. And that was something that took some time to get used to. Now I'm perfectly fine with that. I know that the people on my team know a lot more about optimization, or a lot more about how to do deep learning or large language models than I do. But for a while there, I was trying to keep up with everything, and that was taking up too much of my time because I felt that I needed to be able to ask great questions, and I still do think that you've got to be able to ask great questions, but you don't have to be the most knowledgeable person in the room, and that's you can't be as you start moving up and having teams of 10, 20, 50, or at Cardlytics 75 people.
Warren, here's the good news. You've survived your first interview with me, but we have hit time. So, Warren, thank you for your insights today. And ladies and gents, this has been ML's Like Teen Spirit.